The other day I was thinking that sometimes teachers might feel like they're an octopus and that with their eight little arms, they're having to jump through all the hoops of all of their leaders, people above them that have different expectations and different viewpoints on what's expected and what you need to do to accomplish A, B, or C for the test. So I decided that for 2025, I wanted to revamp my English language arts reading and writing folders or writing guides for those of you who get the digital version so that they could really fine tune not what somebody else tells you, another consultant or an acronym, or a district coordinator, regional service center, but specifically based solely on TEA guidelines and expectations. And the first one I want to share with you is one that I want to post because there's so much confusion and misinformation out there about exactly what is expected on a short constructed response, which is, the test is divided equally between reading and writing. And on the reading side, there's something called a 2-point SCR question, short constructed response, that requires your students to read the question carefully, to go look for evidence, to be able to have at least one sentence that responds to the question and a sentence or more that backs it up with evidence. And the other side is the extended constructed response. So I did some fine tuning in both of them, but this one is first going to be the one that I feel is more misunderstood and confused. And so by all means, do not take my word for this. Go to the Texas Education Agency website where it says constructed scoring guides and rubrics, and you're going to see what it says there. And in my newest version, which none of you have except for the teachers who signed up for part two of my ECR, SCR reported training series that I'm doing from now until the test. I've already emailed this to you yesterday. So let me show it to you guys so you can kind of see and have a clear understanding of not what does anybody else say, but what does the TEA short constructed rubric scoring guide say about the topic of 2-point answer evidence. So this is coming from my new and improved English language arts reading and writing folders. Folders, I have plural because this hard copy, and several of you ordered it, for all of you who ordered it during the Christmas holiday, I sent them out yesterday, not realizing that because of uh, the passing of President Jimmy Carter, that all of the, I guess, federal buildings were closed. So you should, for those of you who ordered, you should receive your tracking today with the class sets of these folders, the graphic organizers that come with them, and the primary folders that are either for students who are lower ability level or for dual language bilingual classrooms. So here is the one I want to focus on just for this video only. Short constructed responses. This is the reading side of the rubric. Okay. They are worth 2 points. What is the question? And you may have noticed that on all um, constructed responses, or most of them at least we've seen now, they'll have the word prompt there. And inside that question, they'll have a specific topic. And so what that is a certain W. There's going to be a who, a what, a when, a where, a why, a which, or a how that's being asked. And so what your students have to do first is try to dissect the question carefully to determine which of the 7 W's is being asked. Okay. And then according to the rubric, whoops, sorry about that. According to the rubric, how to get a 1, red light. What is the evidence or the answer, the response? I use yellow for evidence because you can highlight evidence on the computer or on paper, and normally we do it in yellow. Okay. So the reason for the word or is as long as you have a sentence that represents the evidence or a sentence that represents the answer to the question or a response to it, then your students can get a 1. How to get a 2, just one word changes. And what is the evidence? Yellow. And you can probably highlight these colors or underline if you find these things so you can know whether to give the student a 0, a 1, or a 2. What is the evidence and the answer, the response? But these 4 areas here that I'm placing below are specifically because of all the misinformation and confusion. So again, don't trust me. Go straight to the rubric, and you're going to see that all of these things are true regarding a 2-point answer evidence short constructed response reading question. Number 1, restating the question is not the same as responding to it. In other words, it doesn't say short constructed, restating, or repeating. You don't gain or lose points based on how many words that you repeat or restate from the question. Okay. It's just not there. You can use those words, but if all you're doing is restating the question, but you're not actually responding to it, you're not going to get a point for that. Number 2, only one piece of evidence or more is required in a 2-point SCR. And that's actually in there in the section of the scoring guide that talks about the rubric. You don't have to have 2, 3, 4, or more pieces of evidence. Just one piece of evidence that you write in the form of what resembles a complete sentence. And the reason I say resembles is because as long as the response is coherent, legible, and decipherable, they're not going to give your students a 0, and hopefully the automated scoring engines wouldn't either. Number 3, something else that people say has to be done in order to get a point. The location of the evidence and or the quotations used for direct quotes are optional, but they are definitely not required. You can see several responses that did not give where the evidence is at or put it in quotations by citing it with exact words. You can paraphrase, you can um, use your own words as long as the reader can clearly see, okay, they are referring to specific evidence in the text. And number four, this is hopefully not a problem as much as it was at the beginning, but the reason a short constructed response is called a short constructed response is because they want the response to be short. That explaining is not required for a two in reading SDR questions. Yes, you can have your students sit there explaining all they want, but what you're doing unintentionally in many cases is making it very difficult for your kids who struggle with reading and writing by telling them you're going to take away points unless you explain your constructed response. So that is one way that I have improved. I'm going to show you multiple ways. I'm going to take you through my entire English language arts reading and writing folders so you can see piece by piece how valuable it is and how helpful it can be to your students as a uh, source where an all-in-one guide to help your kids over these next several months. And these are available as hard copies. If you signed up for part two, you received it, as I mentioned yesterday, as a digital copy. Just message me or email me if you want some information on how to get access to the recorded training videos or the hard copies of these. Like if you get a class set, they're in like an 11 by 17 two-sided. But this page one here, this first half is the 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 meat of the folder to help your students. So that hopefully clears up some of the nonsense and uh, the chaos, I might say, in terms of what you're being asked to do and what is actually required in order to get a one or two. Take a moment if you can, uh, like the video, share it if you want to with somebody. Um, Message me if you have a question. You know, I got an email from one of you who happened to run into one of my videos on short consecutive responses, and to use her words, she was just mind blown about what she learned in the videos and how simple um, that short consecutive responses can be if we teach it the way that TEA is guiding us. So I am going to send this to you, the one who emailed me during Christmas holiday, because you were asking about this. And so I wanted to make sure you saw this. For the rest of you, God bless. Good luck this coming school year. Um, we'll see you soon on the next video. I'm going to be sharing the 5 different types of prompts that your 3rd through 10th graders can get on an extended constructed response, all having to do with either a W, another W, uh, who, what, when, where, why, which, how, W or W, W and W, right? Whether or not something, um, which one W is being asked. You know, I'm going to make sure that you know that there's specifically 5 ways on how to help kids understand which type of prompt that they're getting on ECR. God bless. Take care. Have a wonderful day in the neighborhood.